Hello and welcome. I'm Kevin Ochsner, and we're here in Washington, D.C., across the street from NCBA's office and just down the street from Capitol Hill. Democracy is always under construction, and given the recent elections, there will certainly be some changes inside Congress to accompany the renovations you see happening outside the Capitol. When we talk with producers, one of the things they say is being a member of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association is valuable because of the unified voice NCBA provides right here in Washington, D.C. So today, we're going to spend our time getting insight into the work being done here each and every day on behalf of the beef cattle industry, whether it's on Capitol Hill, at the USDA, the EPA, or even the White House. We're here now with Colin Woodall, who heads NCBA's Washington, D.C. office. Colin, thanks for coming back to the show.
Oh, good to be with you, Kevin.
We just finished some pretty important midterm elections here, and some massive changes occurred. Tell us what that means to your efforts here in D.C.
Well, this was an extremely important midterm election because this will determine not only what Congress does for the next 2 years, but will have a huge impact on just how successful President Obama is in the last 2 years of his terms. And when it comes to a lot of the issues that we're working on, especially environmental issues, tax reform issues, and immigration, it's going to have a huge impact on just how successful we can be to get things done that help cattle producers.
So what does that mean in terms of some of your key priorities for 2015?
Well, what it means is we're actually going to get some work done by Congress on a lot of our priorities. We've had a lot of great work done by the House of Representatives over the past couple of years, passing things such as a bill that would stop EPA's work on the Waters of the United States rule, passing some tax extenders, and unfortunately they've gone over to the current Senate and they've died. With a new Senate that's Republican controlled, we know that they're going to bring those issues up, they're going to pass them, and then the fight will be between Congress and the President on whether or not we can get those signed into law.
Let's talk about an issue that's received lots of press here lately, and that's cool. Where does cool stand now, Colin?
Now, country of origin labeling is one of those issues just doesn't seem to want to go away, and we still see that now with what we're dealing with regarding this issue. Just about a couple weeks ago, the World Trade Organization actually came out, and for the third time in a row, they have ruled against the United States on country of origin labeling. So that means that we are in violation of the trade agreements that we have with Canada and Mexico, and unless we fix cool, we're going to have retaliation by both those countries, and they historically have been two of the top 5 markets for the export of U.S. beef. We cannot afford to have them shut down our access there. You know, cool is a lot like prohibition. It may have sounded like a good idea at the time, but when it got put in place, there were a lot of unintended consequences. It just doesn't work, and it needed to be repealed. Cool's the same way. Had some good intentions, but unfortunately the unintended consequences are not working. It's going to really jeopardize our trade agreements, and so we've got to repeal it. We've got to get rid of it.
Help people at home understand what makes cool such a contentious issue and what could be some of the far-reaching impacts.
Well, it's contentious because there's still a lot of people that think that if we put where the beef is from, that the consumer is going to respond to that. They're going to actively seek that out. They're going to pay more money, and it's going to benefit U.S. cattle producers. That was the premise behind country of origin labeling, but unfortunately, after 6 years of implementation, that has not been the result. All it has done is add costs into our system, costs that producers are bearing the burden of, and more importantly, as I said, this jeopardization of our trade relationship with Canada and Mexico is a big problem. We need the access into both those countries.
And costs at a time that meat prices are already, record high, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. Anything that you add on the cost side of things is going to be recognized not only by the producers but also by the consumers. And if the consumers were actually really looking for this, they would have sent some market signals that cool is important. They have not done that.
Yeah. So let's talk about other issues. What else do you see on the horizon for you here in D.C. over the next couple of years?
Well, I think we're going to have a great opportunity to really hem up EPA. They have been running roughshod over us for quite some time now. They have really had the support of the Democrat-controlled Senate and the President. By having the Republicans in control, we know that there's going to be a lot more oversight of what EPA is doing. They'll find themselves hauled up to answer for these issues quite often. And more importantly, as I said, I think we'll actually see some legislation passed that will stop EPA and all of their attacks on our industry, such as the Waters of the United States rule.
Certainly some encouraging news. And what would you tell folks sitting at home? How can they get involved in the activities that you plan to undertake over the next couple of years?
You know, it's really easy. All you have to do is continue watching C2C. We'll put out different calls to action throughout the year. Go to our website, beefusa.org. You'll see an issues center where you can engage on all of these particular items we've talked about and a whole lot more. But the real important thing is just to understand that your voice is important, that you need to engage, and we require that grassroots support in order for us to be successful in Washington, D.C. So make sure you pick up the phone, join NCBA, but more importantly, go to the website and send letters to members of Congress and the administration on all these issues we just talked about.
So last question from a personal standpoint. I know you've been doing this a long time. Your heart and your home's back in Texas. What makes you continue to want to represent cattlemen and cattlewomen right here in Washington, D.C.?
Well, you know, we are truly representing the salt of the earth, and that is America's cattle producers. Those people who are working every day to make sure that we have high quality beef on the tables from Shanghai to New York City. And to do that, we need to make sure that we can keep the government out of their business. And that's what motivates all of us here in Washington, D.C., is to get up every morning, to fight that fight, to make sure that cattle producers can focus on what they need to be doing, and that is producing that high-quality beef. And we'll do what we can to keep the government just out of your business.
My thanks to you and your entire staff for all you do for us each and every day, Colin.
Thank you, Kevin.
If you'd like to support the work of NCBA in defending and advocating for the cattle industry in Washington, D.C., why not become an NCBA member? It's easy to do. Just call 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit the website beefusa.org.